so you guys had to do that for homework, right? Does anybody have any questions they want to see on that? What you got, William? 18. All right, what's it say there? I'm really glad you asked about this one. Because, remember, what's the first thing we're always looking for? GCF. What can I divide out of all three of those terms? All three of those terms. All three of those terms. 3. All right, so if we divide out a 3, we're going to put it out front. What's left? What is 69 divided by 3? Good. And then, good. Okay, folks, so did you take out the GCF? You should, because what happens is you would have to multiply 12 by 45, and that number is going to be large. Yeah, it's just too big. And notice, now my numbers are more manageable. Does everybody see why we should look for a GCF first? Oh, no. You will, it'll just be harder. On one problem, yeah. Okay, so now that I'm here, multiply the first and last term. And I'm going to make my binomials while I'm waiting. So I need factors of 60 that will add to 23. Factors of 60 that'll add to 20 and 3. Is that okay for you, William? Okay, so do my symbols need to be the same or different? And they both need to be good. So this will be a plus 20 and a plus 3. When you're ready, I need you to make me a 4-term problem. Don't forget that X on there, okay? Everybody doing okay? All right, now I'm ready to group. What can you take out of both groups? And so I'm going to divide out a 4x from both of those. Good. What can I take out of those? Okay, so now I'm going to put my final answer in up there. Good. So, folks, those of you that did not take out the GCF, you probably don't have this answer. So, you just said 12x plus 9. What can I take out of this? A 3. If I divide these by 3, what do I get? Do you see that? Yeah. You'd have to do the GCF out of that one then. Just do it first to make your life easier. Okay. Ray, did you have one that you wanted to see? That was the same one? Everybody else is good here? Are we sure? Positive? Yes? Okay. So, what are we doing today on this worksheet? Okay, so day 3. So are we really doing anything different? No, and if you look at the bottom there, what is the only thing that's being added to this? The equals 0. We haven't had equal signs so far yet, have we? Okay, so what I would like for you to do is factor. Do I want to have you guys do those? How about I just have you do 2 of them? Let's have you do number 3 and 4, please. 3 and 4, please. Go ahead. All right, so I asked you to do 3 and 4. We decided that 3 was prime because there are no factors of 20 that will add to 3. Now, you remember what I told you about prime things. Don't just assume it's prime when the first thing you try doesn't work. Okay? You have to exhaust all options before you can stop and write prime. Are we clear on that? Okay, so here we needed factors of 9 that added to, or no, subtracted to 8, which most of you put down what? 9 and 1. Do the symbols need to be the same or different? And the bigger one needs to be? Perfect. So now you're going to write me a 4-term problem. The first term gets dropped down. I'm going to put a minus 9m and a plus 1m. Then I have a minus 3. How's everybody doing there? Everybody remember to put your m's on it. Okay, now I'm ready to group. 2 by 2. Most of you took out a 3m. So far, so good? And you got m minus 3 left. Then we have a plus 1. And then you get m minus 3. Which leaves me, my repeated factors are m minus 3. And my leftover factor is 3m plus 1. How we doing, guys? Fine? Final answer is good here? Did I solve that? Did I solve it? No. If I solve it, that means I have a single number that's my answer, correct? When I plug it back in, it'll work. That does not have an equal sign, therefore it's not an equation. Therefore, I cannot solve it. Are we good on that? Yes? Okay. Did you all fill in those steps? Rattle them off to me. What do we got? Okay, now remember, when we have 2 binomials, we have the long way and the short way. When do we do the short way? How do I know to do the short way? When it starts with a 1. Okay. How do I know when to do it the long way? You gotta speak up. These things make me not be able to hear. Anything but 1. Okay. That is not new to you, correct? In fact, this next part should also be relatively fresh in your head as well. How do I multiply 2 numbers together to get 0? That's how I add 2 numbers. What's that? It has to be something times 0. One of them must be 0. The only way to multiply by 0 is if one of them is 0. Does it matter which one? One of them has to be 0, though. Okay, we have already talked about the zero product property. There were 3 steps. The first step, what does it need to be equal to? First step. Sometimes that step is already done for you. The second step was you actually need to factor them, which is what we've been doing. And then the third step is once you have those factors, you actually need to solve them. All right, so I've got lots of examples for you today. We'll jump around like we normally do, okay? And we'll see how this goes. Are you ready? Are you sure? Well, let's see. Where do I want to start? Kind of want to start with something that's a little bit easier, maybe. Let's start with number 3. Everybody see it over there? Okay, so first things first. Is it set equal to 0? That's a good thing, right? Is it factored? Factors means I have the parentheses. Do we have that number 3? So I need to factor it. Does it have a GCF? No. How many terms is there? 3, which means, is it going to be the short way or the long way? It's going to be the long way because it starts with a 2. Is everybody ready? Multiply the first and last terms. What do you get? You need factors of 14 that will subtract to 13. 14 and 1. Will the symbols be the same or different? And the bigger one will be, okay. So I need somebody to write me a 4-term problem now. Everybody doing all right? Sure? Greg kind of spouted that off real fast for me. Okay, I'm ready to now group. What can you take out of the first group? Okay, William's telling me to take out a 2D. If I take out a 2D, what's left? Everybody following so far so good? What can I take out of the second group? Just a 1, I think. Nothing else divides out of there? What's left? Okay, so all hard part's done now. What's my repeated factor? What's the leftover factor? Now remember, folks, this still equals 0. It still equals 0. So, step 1, set it equal to 0 is done. Step 2, factoring is done. Step 3 is to solve it. Can you tell me what my 2 equations would be that I need to solve? What am I going to set them equal to? How we do it, folks? Do you remember doing this Monday, maybe? I think it was Monday. This one is super easy. What's the answer to this one on the left? 7. You don't even really need to do any work for that. This one, though, you need to tell me what to do. Subtract the 1. Is everybody good with that? What am I going to do next? Does negative 1 divide by 2? It doesn't. You either can write it as a decimal, or you can just leave it as negative 1/2. Leave it as negative 1/2, or negative 0.5 would be fine. So, folks, up until this point, it is nothing new. And even this stuff down here, we've done previously, haven't we? Now, does it take some work? It takes more than some work. It takes a lot of work. Okay. Questions for me here? A-okay? Let's go to number 6. Right there. First things first. Set equal to 0? Done. Is it factored? Not factored. Is there a GCF? No. You okay over there? Yeah. Long way or short way? Long way. So I need to multiply those. What does that give me? Factors of 60 that will subtract to 11. Factors of 60 that will subtract. Okay. Will the symbols be the same or different? And the bigger one? Negative. 4 terms. Somebody besides Greg. He gave me the last one. Okay. Somebody besides William, tell me what to take out of the first group. 3x. What's left then, Autumn, when you take out that 3x? To what? And then what do I get over there? Okay. Somebody besides Autumn, what can I take out of the second group? What's left? Okay, James, can you give me the final factoring here? Repeated factor, leftover factor. Don't forget, folks, that it still equals 0. Okay, I'm ready to solve now. Are you ready to solve? Yes? What's the first equation going to be? Okay, how would you solve that? If I subtract the 2, I get that. Does negative 2 divide by 3? No, we'll just leave it. That would be negative 0.6 repeating if you wanted the decimal. Good? Give me the other equation I need to solve. How would you do that? Add the 5, so it'll look like this. It's not going to. This decimal isn't so bad. What would the decimal approximation of this be? I shouldn't say decimal approximation. It is 2.5. Or, of course, you could tell me 2.5. All right, folks. So those first two that we did, they were already set equal to 0. Good? Let's pick one that is not already set equal to 0. Do you want to stay on the front or you want to go to the back? Yeah, let's do 7. Good choice. Let's do 7. How do I get that equal to 0? Now, when you do that, you got to make sure you put the left-hand side in standard form. So what will the left-hand side be? How's everybody doing? And now it equals 0, doesn't it? Yes? Okay. Let's see here. Shane, is there a GCF I can take out of that? No GCF. So you're going to multiply the first and the last. What does that give you? I need factors of 80 that will subtract to 11. Factors of 80. Somebody help him out. He doesn't have his calculator. Factors of 80 that will subtract to 11. "16 times 5, she says. Yeah? We all agree there? Yeah? Jason, will my symbols be the same or different? Take a look up here. Different because of that minus sign, and the bigger one will be perfect. Good. Chase, how about a 4-term problem here for me? Now remember, I want to put my negative one first if I can. What's that? Negative 5 and what's got to go on it? And then? Good. Everybody following? Yeah? Okay. Peyton, what can I take out of the first group? I don't think 5 will divide by 2. Just a K. That's okay. Don't be sorry. What's left? Hold on one second. If I take out a K, what's left here? 2K. And then minus. That's all right. Greg, what am I going to start the next part with? Plus or minus? Good, because of that plus, I put a plus here. What can I divide out of both of those? Higher than 4. The most common thing for people to tell me is 4, but there's actually one higher than 4. 8. Okay, what's left? Don't forget about that K on that, right? And then, all right. Autumn, what is my repeated factor? And my leftover factor? Oh, k plus 8. Remember, folks, this still equals 0. All that work, and I'm not even done yet, right? Yeah? James, can you tell me the two equations I'll set up from this then? Okay, James, this one's the easy one over here. What's that answer going to be? So if I minus 8 from 0, I get negative 8. This one's a little bit more difficult. Not much. What will you do here? Five over 2, which is the same as 2.5, which is the same as 2.5. Any of those three representations are just fine, folks. Since James said 5 over 2 first, I'm going to go with that one. What do we think? Can you handle that? Yeah? What's that? More room? I didn't give you enough room again. I'm sorry. Sorry. I got the whole bottom. Why don't we do one in the bottom row then? Yeah, let's do 11. Take a look at 11. We are going to do 12 as well. Number 11, though, is not equal to 0. How would you get it equal to 0? I'm going to add 2x. Now, folks, if I add 2x there, I got to add it to the other side also, don't I? It's going to go right underneath that 3x. It will make 5x, but what else do I need to do? I have to subtract that 2. It can't go with anything. Plus 5x. Now it equals 0. So see how I kind of had to rearrange that? Which x's? We did, and we got 5. That's okay. No. That's if we were multiplying. We're adding here. That's okay, though. GCF? No, close, but not quite, right? Long way or short way? Long way. I could have been nice and at least put one of them be the short way in here, couldn't I? Sorry about that. Multiply the first and the last term. What do you get? Factors of 24 that have to subtract to 5. Factors of 24 that subtract to 5. 8 times 3. Folks, if this is a subtraction sign, does that mean same or different symbols? The 8 is going to be positive and the 3 will be negative. Now I want to put my negative one first if I can. Everybody following Greg? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. Folks, you must put that minus 1 there. It is incorrect if you don't. Use that 1 as a placeholder. Plus. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, I want you guys to solve from there. You finish it. Got them? Just for my personal preference, if I put the negative 1 first, there's less chance of me messing up that sign. I always just recommend if there's a negative factor to put it first. You don't have to. You're still going to get the same answer, but there's less room for error if you put it first. Okay, so I'm going to do that off to the side over here, okay? While these guys are finishing. So you did this, right, Ray? And then you did this. Okay. Now, I have to start with a minus, don't I? A 1. So we're dividing by negative 1. So what will you get if you divide this by negative 1? Which is good. And that'll end up giving me the same answer as that, right? Yeah. Yep. It is because of the negative sign. Correct. So those of you that were finishing that problem, did you get, or what did you get for this first one? 1/4 or 0.25? William, what were you just going to tell me? Did you have 1/4 or no? You added you did this one first? What'd you get for that one, William? Good. How'd you all do? Just fine? You sure? Yes? Okay. Let's do number 12. Now, good news is it said equal to 0. Bad news is those numbers are relatively large. But what can I take out of them? Can I take out an 8? No. 4. So I'm going to divide them all by 4. If you take out a 4, you get 2m squared. Good. Now I want you to notice what happens here, folks. If you would have left it as is, you would have been multiplying 8 by 48. We don't want that, do we? Now what are we multiplying together? 2 and 12, which is much better, giving me 24. What do I want those factors of 24 to do? Add to 11. Good? Symbols be the same or different? And they're both going to be negative. So here, I can't really put the negative one first because they're both negative. They will both be negative. Jason, can you give me a 4-term problem out of this? We're going to start up here. What's that first term? Now let's put this in. And that needs to have an m on it. Good. Now I'm ready to group them, Jason. What can you take out of the first group? Good. Good. What can you take out of the second group? Actually, let me backtrack a second here. I'm going to drop down this minus sign. Now what can you take out of the second group? Okay, so since that's at minus right there, we're going to be dividing by negative 3. What's left? Good. Now can you give me the two factors? Perfect. And that still equals 0, folks. Chase, can you give me the two equations that I would set up here? Now that I have my factors, what equations do I need to solve? Oh, equals. Okay, you guys solve. First one's pretty easy. How about the second one? Yes, or 1.5. All right, folks. We're only going to do one more, I think. Hold on. Stop trying to convince me. I think I would like to do number 8. Because in number 8, I need to set it equal to 0. Now, if I were in your shoes, I would say, let's move this over because that's only moving one thing, correct? But if I move this over, I would have to subtract it, wouldn't I? And now my p squared is going to be negative. And the p squared has to come first, doesn't it? Would you really want that first term to be negative? No. So it will be easier to actually move both of those two over to the left-hand side. How do I do that? And we're putting this in standard form, remember? Okay. Doing all right? Do you think that you could maybe solve this one out on your own? Let's see how you do. You're going to need factors of what? Factors of 80 that add to 21. And I'm going to have you go from there. Anybody stuck on those factors of 80? Yeah? All right, you going to help them out? It's not 5 and 16. Good. 5 and 16.
Oh, wait.
Those are your That's okay. One of them will be negative 8.
Yeah,
yes. So that homework that you actually do all this, you're like a pro at it. Here's the thing that you can't do. You can't wait till tomorrow to do it. Scratch your head now. You need to answer the call. Or you can look at your
Yeah, 16. 16 plus 5.
How'd we do?
You said negative 2.5.
Perfect. Or negative 2.5.
Okay.
How the rest of you doing? Yep. Anybody else? Questions, concerns, comments? No? You sure? Positive. Okay, so how many do you have for extra credit if you want it? Whoa, that's a lot, right? Okay, so if you want the extra credit, it's there. Otherwise, your homework is... All right, so that is 4, 5, 6 problems for you tonight. 12. Why 12? Oh, well, the bonus you don't have to do. Some of you need to.
Yeah, why would you not do that?
I agree, but some of you won't.